Hello, I am back. It is September 18th, I think. So I'm not getting to this wrap up vlog style at the beginning of the month by any means. I was a touch preoccupied at the beginning of the month. I've got a puppy dog and a little baby here with me, and I will try to update you on where I'm reading or what I'm reading. So, I have finished one book. I'm almost done a second. So I thought I would quick get on and update you before I forget what I thought about the first one. It's already been a while, but I finished The Weaver and the Witch Queen by Genevieve Gornichek. And this is a book. It is historical fantasy inspired by Icelandic sagas of people from those sagas, so theoretically real people. And it has a really great author's note, like historical note at the back of the book by the author explaining like where her inspirations came from, as well as, where she took liberties, why she made certain choices, what was completely fantastical, and why she didn't use certain terms. I actually thought it was really great, like a really good explanation of why the author made the choices that they made. So in the story, we're following three girls. We only get the perspectives of two of them, but two sisters and a friend of theirs who they grew up with. At a young age, the one girl, not one of the sisters, runs away to become trained by a seeress and to become a witch. And then we kind of jump forward in the future, and one of the sisters is kidnapped and taken away to become a slave. And there's definitely some hints that this sort of prophecy or like this fortune-telling kind of thing from the seeress that took place when they were young is involved in the kidnapping of the one girl. And so then we have the sister whose main goal really is just to find her sister again. The other girl, the one who's training to become a witch, she also prioritizes that and uses her powers to assist in that. And they kind of get swept up into a little bit of a political situation, I guess would be the way to say it, but really it's more that they use political advantages made available to them in order to reach this ultimate goal of finding and saving or buying back essentially the sister who has been kidnapped and sold into slavery. Overall, I did enjoy it. I don't think I liked it quite as much as The Witch's Heart, which is the other book by this author. There was something a little bit different about the tone, where The Witch's Heart was about motherhood, and it did, to some extent focus on the relationship with the main character in that book, Boda, and their relationship with Loki. But it was more about how the relationship with Loki affected the main character. It wasn't about the relationship itself. Whereas in this one, the plot does really get swept up into the relationships with the two girls in a way that I felt took over the story to some extent, or distracted from the themes of sisterhood and womanhood that were at play here. And the angsty kind of component of the relationships took over the storyline a bit in a way that didn't feel that it was accurately reflecting what I thought the themes were trying to be. In fact, there was a quote, of course, I was like, oh, I should I took note of the page. It's on my phone because I was reading through my phone. Anyway, I obviously have not prepared enough I picked my phone up and did this very spur of the moment here. So I don't have the quote. Maybe I'll pop it up. It felt like it was an on-the-nose statement of like, this is the theme of the book, like sisterhood and hoes before bros kind of a thing, which I don't feel like is accurate of what happened in the book. So that kind of not let me down because I had no expectations, but that just didn't feel like on point with what the book was trying to say. I enjoyed the elements of sisterhood that were there. There was like an enemy, a secret enemy whose identity they didn't know, and I guessed it really, not really early on, but I guessed it way ahead, and I actually guessed it like at a really funny moment while I was actually in labor. I remember turning to my partner. I had like moments of calm here and there, and I remember turning to my partner being like, oh my god, I just figured out who the bad guy was in the book I'm reading. Anyway, I figured it out, and then when it happened, it was like it was not shocking at all. Anyway, it's just interesting. Like, so overall, like, I didn't like it quite as much as The Witch's Heart, but I did enjoy it. I think maybe I had higher expectations for it, though, overall. But if you like historical fantasy, if you like Scandinavian-inspired fantasy in particular, definitely worth checking out. The other book that I'm almost done is the Xhex, which I randomly picked up, and I've been listening to the audio, and I've listened, excuse me. And despite the fact that it's a super short audiobook, I have been listening to it for a really long time. I'm actually having less audiobook time than I thought that I would, just with stuff like situation within like house and people around and whatever. So hopefully, because I have like made so many audiobook plans, hopefully I'll be able to get more into that moving forward. But the Xhex, I think by Aaron Sterling, I'm just kind of finding really boring. And not that interesting, actually. So, this is about a witch family who lives in a... It's not about a witch family. It's about this witch who lives in a town where there are witches, and there's like a witch... There's a college that has like a secret witch side of it. And when she was 19, she met this boy. And when they broke up, she was really angry and cursed him. And he comes back to town however many years later, and the curse kind of kicks into place, and because it's like tied up with the town's magic, stuff in the town starts going awry, and the two of them have to team up to fix it. And I just don't really feel the chemistry between them at all. I thought the elements of the curse would be a lot more like serious and timely, whereas like stuff goes awry a little bit at the beginning, and then it's like there's like a period of time that like passes where they're just like hooking up again. Spoiler, they get back together. It's a romance book. They're just like hooking up for a couple weeks, like working on breaking the curse, but like not actually actively doing anything. But also like it's obviously not going so awry that it's like an emergency situation. So yeah, it's just not doing anything for me. I don't really care for anything that's happening, and I don't understand the appeal between the two characters. I'm not seeing it there between them, other than the fact that like they hooked up for a couple months when they were teenagers, and that's it. So I think I only have like 30 minutes left, and so I'll finish it, because why would I DNF it at this point? I'll just like, it's like 30 more minutes of listening, but I don't expect my opinion to change. I'll just like let you know in the next clip, like, hey, check, done that book. The other book that I'm reading is The Hunger of the Gods, finally. And finally, as in, I've had this book on hold from the library since it came out sometime last year, and I have never taken it out. Actually, maybe I have, and I like let it expire and then took it out again, or like put it back on hold. But anyway, I'm finally reading The Hunger of the Gods. I did a poll on my community tab to like, it came up again. I was like, oh my god, like should I finally read this book? And the majority of you voted for yes, go for it. So I did put it in my end of the year tag of being like a book that I really should finish before the end of the year. So I am going to do it. It had a really good like update at the beginning of it, like here's what happened in the last book for each of the three perspectives. And while I understood like the big plot, or like while I had remembered the big plot points, I'd read Shadow of the Gods in like 2021. So while I remembered the big plot points, I didn't remember any of like the political machinations that were going on and like the who's who outside of those like three main characters and the immediate, groups or mercenary groups to which they are attached. So hopefully I'll be able to like piece that together as I keep reading. So that is what I'm reading. And then Murderbot, or the All Systems Red, the first Murderbot novella, won the Pick My Next for September. No surprises, really. I wasn't almost even giving the other books a shot by including this one. I'm thinking about doing something a little bit different for the review on this one, though. So it might not come out as soon as it should, the review. I'm thinking about maybe reading other booktube darlings. That's my thought. Specifically sci-fi darlings to include along with it. Just a thought. So I have to read that as well. But again, like I said, I haven't been having as much audiobook time. So as soon as I finish this Xhex, I'm going to pick up Murderbot. And that's where we're at. Not a ton of time left in the month. I do have, obviously my mom is here. And then I have more family coming to visit me who have not been to Denmark since I have lived here for the past 5 years. So a lot going on just with like the baby, the dog, and my partner's back at work now, and I have family coming, so it'll be a little bit chaotic. I don't think this is going to be a huge reading month. Okay, it's August 28th. I have finished 3 more things since I last checked in. Okay, I have 3 more things that I read, as I just mentioned, and not really time here to tell you, but this is the time that I've chosen. So, I read All Systems Red, the first Murderbot novella, which was the winner for the Pick My Next for the month of September, which was a novella because I knew that I was going to have a newborn. And I really enjoyed it, but I didn't love it in that, I don't know, maybe novellas... I have not read a ton of novellas before. Maybe there's just not enough there for me personally. So I feel like my favorite part was actually kind of like the ending, where like I really, really liked where it left off. I didn't like that it ended, I'm not saying that, but I enjoyed where it left off. It left me like kind of intrigued, it left me interested, and I would really like to actually keep listening or keep reading on in the series. So I haven't picked up the next novella. That's not the other 2 things I have not read were Murderbot things. But I have saved it on Scribd, so I'm going to keep listening. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's like a good level of in-depthness for late night audiobook listening. I do owe you guys a review for it, though, or at least like a more thorough, here are my thoughts on it. But here's my thing. It's like a novella. It's so short, and that doesn't seem like, I don't know, I just feel like a full dedicated review for just that is going to be a bit much. So I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to do, I'm still deciding on how I want to review it for you guys. I'm thinking vlog style as well, but I think I'm going to add in other things. So whether those are the other novellas that were also up in the Pick My Next option, or maybe I listen to all of the novellas and then do a review, all of the Murderbot ones. That's what I'm deciding between. I'm here with someone, obviously, and Poppy's down at the other end of the bed. The other 2 things, super random. I decided, I think maybe someone was talking about it in a wrap-up recently, and I was like, you know what? I am kind of, like, moderately interested in seeing what that's about. And that is the newer Allie Hazelwood book. The most recent one was Love... Sorry. I might have to come back to this another time. Okay, I'm back. It is now the 9th of October, so I let a little bit of time pass, but I've had a ton of family here visiting. It's been a little bit just chaotic, like really lovely to have everyone come, but really chaotic because Poppy was really stressed to have like a bunch of people in the apartment, which we didn't realize was going to be a thing. We've only ever had like 1 visitor at a time, like 1-2 guests at a time, and on top of sort of the protectiveness and like resource guarding if you're into dog training, stuff that's going on with her and the baby, the dog did not love people being around, so it was just a lot. So my vlog style wrap up did not quite work out for the month of September, but it has not started for October yet either, but I'm gonna work on it. Okay, so I got interrupted last time. I had told you about All Systems Red and that I was checking out or had checked out some Ali Hazelwood books. So I read the more recent one, which was Love Theoretically. Names are gone, but in Love Theoretically, it is about a PhD physicist, I think, who is currently an adjunct professor. I want to say this is the Elsie one. Yeah, I think her name's Elsie. And she, as a side job to, help cover her medical expenses, is a fake girlfriend. And she has this ongoing client who she fake girlfriends for a lot. And it turns out that she's applying for I'm forgetting the term, tenured track professorship sort of a position. And one of the people on the hiring committee is that fake boyfriend's brother, who of course is, attractive, etc. She's a theoretical physicist, he's an experimental physicist, and he's like a well-known experimental physicist for hating theoretical physicists. So I actually really enjoyed it. Really, really liked it. It went really, really heavy into the Elsie as a people pleaser and how that has been affecting her life, kind of a storyline. It definitely talked a lot about how, unfair the current trend of hiring adjunct professors instead of full-time professors and tenure track positions. I talked quite a bit about that. It hasn't affected my life, but I am adjacently aware of that issue. And it was surprisingly more emotional than I was expecting, but I did really, really like it. Just before kind of summarizing both of them, I will then say that I immediately picked up the audiobook. So that was an audiobook as well. And then I next picked up Love on the Brain, which is Ali Hazelwood's second full-length novel, which I will say also I had considered reading it in the past as well. And in this one, it has to do with a neuroscientist being hired for a position, or hired for a contract kind of job at NASA. And one of the guys there who she's co-leading this NASA project with is someone who they used to work in the same research lab in graduate school, and he really hates her, of course. So I did like that one as well. That one, the problem was more far-reaching in terms of it had greater impact, whereas the problem that was going on in Love Theoretically was a lot more personal. So I found that one, while a little bit annoying, Elsie kind of the people-pleasing stuff was a lot over the top, and Elsie was a bit much. And I find that scatterbrained, kind of neurotic female love interest in romance books especially come across even more neurotic when you are listening to the audiobook. Hush, love. There's something about the way their internal monologue and their rapid fire speech is done almost consistently across the board by audio narrators that makes it sound even more over the top. But so that one, the personal problems kind of annoyed me, but I didn't find them difficult to deal with, whereas the problems in the other one was more of about the job and some stuff that was going on with that, and it felt really dramatic to the point that I was stressed about it. But overall, I can see that both books have the same beats. I had heard that, if you like one Ali Hazelwood book, you'll like them all. They're very, very, very similar in their plot beats, and I would agree with that. And with the overall sort of concept and execution of the books, the love interests, while not identical people, are particular archetypes, perhaps. I do think, though, that both love interests are too good. They're those guys who are too perfect. They're both hate to loves, where obviously the guy doesn't actually hate them. That's always the case. And so much so that the L word is being tossed around very early, it feels, and the guys are very, very serious about this is it, we're in this for the long haul, really, really early on in the relationship. So that was in both cases. I don't have any plans to ever go read the first one. I'm forgetting what it's called. In that one, there is a fake dating situation, and I usually like fake dating, but I have heard enough reviews mentioning specific moments within the fake dating relationship, within the fake relationship, that I know would just like really bother me and annoy me. So I'm not going to go back and read that first book. But overall, enjoyed those experiences. They were exactly what I needed in the moment. A really easy listen to audiobooks for late night listening. And then I did finish Xhex. No more to say about that than what I said in the last clip. So what is next, or what was next? I was reading The Hunger of the Gods. I think my library hold has expired at this point, but it was just going really, really slowly, actually. So while I was enjoying it, it was going really slowly, and I just wasn't making a lot of progress. And then a bunch of other like exciting October stuff came about. And so now I'm in the midst of that. And I think my library hold for Hunger of the Gods has since expired. So that is September. I do have update on The Labyrinth's Heart, I don't think there's a the in it, which I have never been able to update you guys on. But I heard from the bookseller where I bought it, where I had pre-ordered it from here. So an independent fantasy bookstore here in Copenhagen. And it turns out the shipper lost their order of Labyrinth's Heart. So when I called them to be like, hey, I think it's been a while since this book was ordered, they were like, oh yeah, this is what happened. They were like still waiting on it to be found. And so they just ordered me a different copy. And now, or like maybe last week sometime, I got an email from them that it had arrived. So I just have to find time in my schedule to go and get it. And really by finding the time, I just mean that I have to make the time to get myself and the baby dressed up and trek all the way downtown. So I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to read that in August when it came out and before everything here happened, when it would have been maybe a little bit easier to read a physical book. But that's life. In October, I've got some stuff on the go. I've got a dark and scary Pick My Next. I've got some seasonal reads. I really want to read Practical Magic. Have not picked it up yet. I am reading I'm working on like another vlog for the All Systems Red. I won't say anything more than that. But I'm working on another vlog for that that you will hopefully see when it is all done. So that has been working on that, listening to some audiobooks. It's been good. But I will save that for my October wrap up to tell you what else I have on the go. You can also check out my fall TBR that I made. I will link that at the end of the video so you can see what I have my eye on this season. Let me know how September was for you. I feel like everyone is in the midst of their autumnal reading, whether that is like woodsy atmospheric fall books, or now we're in October. I think there's a lot of paranormal and horror stuff going on, lots of dark academia, I'm sure. So let me know what your favorite fall read has been so far, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.